Hello and welcome to This Week in Metropolis. I'm Matt.
And I am James. Welcome to another episode. This week we've got a bit of a random episode this week, mainly because we're too busy thinking about the Batman, which me and Matt are going to see on Friday together. But we're going to be talking. Yeah, it is. We're going to be talking a little bit about that. We're also going to be talking about SpiderMan, No Way Home. Loads more of it, and some other interesting news regarding Marvel, and a classic film possibly coming for a sequel after 25, 30 years? I don't even know how many years it is now, Matt.
At least mid-80s, I think that was,
Indeed.
Oh, yeah. But before we go to that bit, make sure that if you like what we do, if you listen to the show, if you watch the show, check us out on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, on all the known platforms. You can see us on a bit of a more day-to-day basis and chat with us, etc., etc. But also, if you watch us on YouTube, fantastic. Don't forget to subscribe. But if you can't always watch us, you can always listen to us on all podcasting platforms. So make sure you follow us on there. Check that out. All the episodes right back to Series 1, which probably isn't that good anymore, is there. So, yeah, check it out and enjoy. But first, there's this.
Hello and welcome to This Week in Metropolis.
Here we are. Episode, believe it or not, this is episode 98.
Are you sure about that, though?
Pretty sure. I think it's the 8th episode of season 9.
Do we want to talk about the maths live on air?
Go on, do it.
I've got some queries about this.
Go on.
So, we do. This is great entertainment for anyone who's watching. We do 10 episodes a season. Yeah. So this season is season 9.
Yeah.
So 9 seasons times 10 would be 90.
Yeah.
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 But one series, we only had one episode.
Oh God! Don't tell me I've absolutely killed the momentum.
And then another series, we did 9 to make up for the 10.
Oh,
so
no. So that means
end of this season, it's only going to be 80 episodes that we've done.
Right, forget it. That means, oh God,
cancel a lot.
Well, and how funny that it was only this weekend that I agreed with Mark that he'd join us on the 100th episode, which would only be in a couple of weeks.
In reality, he's got 20 episodes to go.
Yeah, in reality, he's going to have to wait a while.
I bet you regret that. You regret that tattoo as well, don't you?
Yeah, got the date and everything. Yeah, God. Woo. Well, there you go. Welcome to episode 88. Then
no, it's not. It's 78.
It must be 70. No, it can't be 78, can it?
Yeah, it is. It is because we're 10 behind. If we'd finished series 9, 10 episodes a series.
Yeah, but then if we're 10 behind, then it's 88 because then we'll get to the end, and then we'll have one series to go until we're at 100.
It's not. If we finished 9 series of 10 episodes each,
I feel like we're squabbling. I feel like that's it. The show's cancelled. Anyway, welcome to another episode, and hello to Shane from Dorman's Comics. I mean, I did notice that we had 2 people watching. One must be Shane. The second one's already gone. I mean,
because we're just arguing about a 10 times table, basically. So
basically, yeah. Shane missed the first 3 minutes. I hear those are normally the next part of the show.
I'm not sure what Shane means by that. But
as in like when we talk about what's coming up. I mean,
okay.
But anyway, Shane is with us.
Best part of the show. Yeah.
It
is, honestly. That was just gold. What we just did was just ridiculous. Yeah, you need
watch
to watch
that back. Yeah. Okay, so we're not coming up to the 100th, but who cares? We're still here. We're
cares?
still going.
We're still doing it. Yeah.
We're still strong. How you been, Matt? All right?
Not bad.
Because we don't talk anymore. So
We don't talk. It's a strictly professional relationship, this one now. We turn up at 9 o'clock on the Tuesday. That's it. As soon as we end the podcast, boom,
we go our separate ways.
gone. That's it. It keeps it fresh. It keeps it punchy when we're on air, I think, doesn't it?
Indeed. Yeah. And we, I mean, proof's in the pudding. I thought we was coming up to episode 100. You knew. We haven't even spoke about it. So there you go. But we won't go over that again. We've spent too long.
Ever. But I think and this is something that you wanted to talk about, which is normally off topic from what we would normally discuss. But as you described it, sort of the elephant in the room. There was us, the world was thinking we're coming to the end of COVID. We're sort of things are going along a little bit better, and restrictions are being lifted, and we seem to be heading onto a good path. And then
Russia.
This week happens. Russia, exactly. This week happens. Ukraine happens. Putin with his finger on the nuclear button happens, and it sort of takes the edge off, doesn't it? If I'm honest.
Or if anything, adds it back on again, doesn't it?
Adds some extra edge.
Extra edge on top of the one that we just got over. I mean, you're right. And I said this pre-show. It's not something we would usually talk about because it's a bit heavy, and and I don't want to talk about all the devastation that's been seen so far. Although there's been kind of reports that some stuff was taken from video games. Have you seen that?
That's it. I did read an article that a lot of the things that were particularly being shared on social media were from there was a game Armour 3, and there was a bit where sort of like they were shooting at planes and stuff, and it was sort of straight from video games stuff. So not actually real, which shows you can't always believe what you see as such in that.
And it's a funny world when you think of this going on now in the world of, or the age of social media as well, where you're seeing things on Twitter, TikTok. There's videos going on there from what's going on out there. It's just a bit, for me, I don't know what your thoughts are, and I'd like to know your feelings on all this. I think the scary thing for me is how easy it's been for Russia to just kind of go and set up troops, 3 different sides. I think the fourth side's kind of got maybe Poland and Belarus who are involved somewhere or another. But anyway, the fact that they've just gone, okay, and Putin's gone, go on then. And now they're going in and slowly but surely taking parts away. I mean, from what I hear, Ukraine are defending it. I mean, it sounds ridiculous to even say them words because of
It's a very odd scenario. Our generation, I will keep light on this thing because it could turn into a Matt's rant, and it would really take our show off topic as such. But it is odd. It's an odd thing to experience, definitely. But let's hope it evens itself out, and we can start to move forward again.
Do you think all these sanctions and everything that all the other countries are putting on Russia are going to make a difference?
Well, they seem to be at the moment. They're crashing their currency, and unfortunately, I think with all war, the people that suffer and the people on the ground and the people that really aren't involved and the people that aren't responsible for it. The leader's a billionaire. He's, mingles with the elite. He's got everything he wants. His actions don't affect his life. It is the people that are in the bunkers and the people that have lost family and that sort of stuff who are now losing their jobs and not got access to their bank accounts and stuff like that. It's a tough call, isn't it, with things like that.
Crazy times, just very
exactly.
It feels all very surreal at the moment, and reading about it on a daily basis. It's
well, I haven't, to be honest. I've read bits and pieces, but I think I got to the point on Monday night where I sort of was watching the 10 o'clock news and that, and just thought I just can't handle this concept anymore. I need to step away, and I think that's the solution sometimes with too much information. I think at a point.
Yeah,
But no.
I agree.
Well,
yeah. Let's move on.
let's
move on
resume
to
our normal broadcast as
normal
such.
service. Big news.
Exactly.
Big news, and it's not really anything that's 100% in the works or anything like that. But there is a lot of talk. So I might go a bit juttery here because I can see that my signal is dropping in.
You
and
did
out.
a little bit, but I've heard you perfectly
Thank
from
you.
now on. So
Thank you.
you're all good.
Yeah. So the big news is an absolute classic film from. I mean, I can't remember how old I was when I watched this. Have you got the date of when the first one came out by any chance?
1988.
88. So I was 2. So I probably didn't watch this till I was probably 7 or 8, I reckon.
Yeah.
Which at the time I found it hilarious. It was a little bit scary, but the film we're referring to is Beetle Juice.
Beetle Juice. Yeah.
Classic. Michael Keaton.
Absolutely loved it when I was younger. Yeah.
Who was the girl in it?
Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder. Yeah. Well,
it.
big news.
Yeah. Beetlejuice 2, which apparently, though, this is something that they've been trying to do for a very, very long while, is do a sequel to Beetlejuice. So I wonder, and I've not read into it as much as I probably should have done, but I wonder whether they were planning it after the first one, because it was I think it was quite a success, wasn't it, in the box office when it came out.
Yeah.
But it's... they're trying, I think, originally in looking at the article I saw in 2015, they thought that, or it was thought that Tim Burton and Warner Brothers agreed on the sequel.
Right.
However, in this sort of iteration of it, it's not necessarily. I don't know whether Tim Burton's attached to it.
I think so.
But Winona Ryder and Michael Keaton have apparently signed onto it. So, a couple in the cast are involved at least. But I just wonder. I guess it's quite open in terms of the story, just because of the Beetlejuice character. They can do it. They can probably slot it into another story quite well in terms of like the afterlife and that sort of thing. But
yeah,
I just worry this far after. Michael Keaton's amazing. I love Michael Keaton. He can do whatever he wants acting wise, but I don't know.
But you're right. It has been a very long time.
Yeah. What I worry about, or my thought of films at the moment generally, is I think it's because they're so available and there's so much access to films, is that a sequel now will come out, or a film generally will come out. That's a very good film and you'll enjoy it, but you'll forget about it so quickly. It's like there's all this hype, and then also it's gone because there's so much other stuff going on. And if you think with like recently, I know like the Matrix film came out and he sort of forgot about that immediately almost, and like the Ghostbusters film, great film, and then that when they don't have the longevity, I don't think, anymore. They don't remain a classic for a long while. But...
Or a blockbuster. You remember
blockbuster?
The word?
Yeah, you don't really get a blockbuster, do you? As such.
Yeah, I mean, the films will outsell. They'll break records and all of that for opening day box office and things like that. But it's not. Yeah, it's not like. I mean, I couldn't tell you who's winning Oscars for movies and things like that at the moment. Like them Oscar-worthy nominees and things like that. It's almost a little bit like you say. It's almost just throw it in and then on to the next,
isn't it?
Yeah.
The interesting part about this one is that reportedly it's Brad Pitt's production company who's doing it.
Yeah.
Plan B, which I knew nothing about until I googled it just before the show. And apparently it was founded in 2001 between Brad Gray, don't know who Brad Gray is, he's a producer apparently, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston.
Interesting.
But the films it's been involved with are pretty impressive. You've got Kick-Ass, brilliant film, and the sequel to that, 12 Years a Slave is involved with as well.
Yeah.
Just picking out sort of random sort of films there. So they've clearly had a lot of success with the films that they've sort of been involved with. So it's not just like a vanity project as such in terms of Brad Pitt. It's clearly a serious, a serious enterprise as such. So they know what they're doing, obviously. So they should be able to do a good job with it. You'd hope, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's the thing. I think when you're comparing it to the original, it's, and especially like you say, I mean, if they would have released that in '92, that would have only been 4 years afterwards. That probably would have been fine.
Yeah.
But it's the fact now we're in 2022.
Yeah.
It's such a long time ago now. It's
That's
it's nearly 40. Well, it'll be coming up for 40 years in 28. I mean, that's 2028 seems a long time away, but you know what I mean? Like,
it's true though. It's sort of, it's in that weird place now. I think a lot of films sit that take that
unless
long.
it's a reboot, but it's not. They're saying it's a sequel.
But that's the thing. It's one the situation where people as old as us will remember it, but we'll have there's nostalgia and stuff attached to what our memory of it. So we're a bit sentimental about it. So we're a lot harder on it, and we'll judge it a lot more. But then the younger generation are looking at it completely fresh, and they, if it's Beetle Juice 2, they won't necessarily know the first one, so they'll probably care less about it as such.
And probably won't appreciate the first one as much as we do. Although, I mean, Shane says here, like, the original still holds up. He watched it recently.
A lot of Tim Burton's films do, I think.
But I think it holds up when if you've seen the original, you've already got that connection to it, that if you loved it, or hated it, whatever. It sounds like Shane and us all liked it or loved it. So you can still, I don't think there's that many films that I watch now that I watched when I was younger that I go, oh, that is awful now. I mean, we talked about that once on an episode. I can't remember what it was, but there's not that many that I don't watch back and have fond memories of.
No.
But again, like you said, if this is to, bring in a new audience to the character, unless you reboot it, I think it's very difficult after nearly. Well, let's be more accurate and say it's nearly 35 years.
Yeah, exactly. What's the point? Is in the end what I think, and it's that whole thing we've talked about many a time. Just make a new film. Yeah. Think of something different. Forget about that film because it was great when it came out. But when that came out, it was different from anything else that you'd probably ever seen, and that's what made it great. Like sort of memories of thinking of it when I was little and whatever, loving like in a waiting room and a guy who died of cigarettes, he's in smoke, and the guy with the little head, and like all these little weird characters. Incredible, absolutely incredible, wasn't it?
We've got another person watching. Isla's in the house. Hi, Isla. She says one of her favourite films as well. So, and again, I think she agreed with something. It would have to be amazing to top the original. Yeah, exactly. And again, I don't know whether the problem is when a film is successful. Yes, you want the sequel. I remember Lord of the Rings. We took that, not Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, which you just referenced a minute ago.
Yeah.
After seeing that first one, the height of expectation is up here,
and then they gradually dip down. And so, recently, my all-time favourite film, Blade Runner. Adore it. That was out in '82. They then waited until whenever that was, the recent one. It's just not the same. A film stands alone for so long, and then you've got this weird thing sort of added onto it, and it's just
I mean, the concept with that film in particular was fine, I felt, because they tried to put it so far in the future, didn't they?
They executed it well, I think, but it just it had no soul.
The other concern that Shane has, which I know Shane feels about a lot of films, definitely don't want a Beetle Juice movie that's been 2022'd in reference to some of the other films.
Exactly. It needs to be weird. It needs to be strange. It needs to, be slightly controversial. But I think that sort of what Shane has said in the comments as well, the stage musical is amazing. I discovered the other day, I'm completely off my radar. I don't know where you can see it or what's happening with it. but they've made a Back to the Future musical, like for
Yeah.
the stage.
Yeah.
I never knew. Yeah, it was just sort of I saw it in passing, like a headline about how great it was or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's as well to me, and hopefully it's not too controversial. That sort of exercise of taking a well-known property like that and then making a film out of it. It just I don't know. I feel
Making
like
a musical.
making a musical out of it. Sorry.
Mm.
It does feel like he's sucking the soul out of the original thing a little bit. And
Yeah,
you know.
I was talking to someone at work about this the other day because she's been to see a couple of films musicals recently, and I mean there was the whole joke, wasn't there? In what film was it from Marvel where you had the
Rogers the musical, wasn't it? Steve
Yeah,
Rogers
yeah,
the
yeah.
musical, yeah.
Yeah.
In
that was it Captain
Hawkeye.
America Hawkeye? Oh yeah, was it
What's
Hawkeye
it?
or was it Captain
Hawkeye.
America and Winter Soldier?
No, it's
Oh
at
yeah,
the
it was
beginning.
Hawkeye. Yeah, because he was there with
At
his
the beginning,
kids,
he
wasn't
went to see it, didn't he? Yeah.
And a lot of people felt that was good. I think you said you quite liked that, didn't you?
Oh, I loved the clip in Hawkeye. I just thought it was hilarious because
Yeah.
it was meant to be a bit rubbish, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
it, just that whole thing of, especially of like the person like Hulk, who's just like some guy wearing green clothes almost.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's just so crap.
I think it's just difficult. I mean, it's a bit like people who will read the book of something and then watch the film and criticize the film.
That's
And
it,
I think when you've seen a film like Back to the Future trilogy,
Yeah.
whatever, and then you watch a musical of it, it's not the same as the film. So you're always
exactly. It's you're
I feel
always
like you
judging it by
almost
your thing, aren't you?
yeah, you almost need to stay in a lane, I think, and appreciate that.
I don't really like musical theatre.
No, me
For
neither.
one, no, it just didn't sit with me. I don't know what it is, but especially I mean, going off films, but when they do sort of things like Mamma Mia or like We Will Rock You, and it's like, let's get a load of songs from a reasonably popular artist and let's have this really rubbish story that fits around these songs roughly. We'll print money, and they do. And unfortunately, with it, you just think, ugh.
But the same happens on both ways. Do you remember, like, obviously, Cats is a huge success in theatre and musicals and all that.
Oh yeah, and they made the film.
And then they made the film with
Yeah.
James Corden.
And Jason Derulo, your favourite. Yeah.
Jason Derulo. No, I've never heard of him. Yeah, it just didn't work. You know, it was slated, that film. So again, it's one of them things. Stay in your lane.
Exactly.
No
No messing about, kids.
A couple of
I think Shane is a
recommend-
massive musical theatre fan.
yeah,
and,
clearly.
yeah.
Avenue Q. I mean, I've been to see Avenue Q. I actually enjoyed that. But again, that's not one.
Puppets, isn't it?
It's a puppet. Yes, Brian Connolly or whatever it was.
Is Brian Connolly in it?
Yeah, it's a puppet. Book of Mormon. That's what my colleague went to see recently, and she said it was really good.
It's Trey Stone and Matt.
Yeah, from
Thingy.
South Matt Parker. Yeah.
Matt Parker, yeah.
And very close to the mark. There's a lot, there's a lot of controversial kind of lines there, but
Great.
again,
That's what you want.
really,
Yeah.
really well thought of.
There you go.
But anyway,
Wow.
Beetle Juice. We'll have to wait to see what happens. That's not confirmed
See
yet.
if they
It's just-
even make it, I think, is the first thing, isn't it?
Maybe they'll listen to this. Brad and Jen, they're just chilling indoors. They don't live together, do they? But they're just hanging out,
Not
listening
anymore, I
to
don't
This
think.
Week in Metropolis, and they realise that maybe
Yeah,
it's not
lads,
right.
it's a bad idea. We won't make it. This is just stupid. Let's make a new film.
Why didn't we think of
instead.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Well, let's move
Well.
on to what me and you are excited about for this week.
Very excited.
Very excited. And listen, I've not read the reviews yet, but the Batman Begins. It's not Batman Begins, but for us, the excitement is starting to begin because Friday, me and Matt and Question Mark and a good friend of ours, Corey, the four of us are going to see.
Can I just say,
on.
Shane has raised a controversial thing that I'm suggesting he only likes musical theatre because he's gay. That's not the case, obviously, Shane. Oh.
No, definitely not. Couldn't be.
I think the reason was, though, is because you've mentioned probably about 10 pieces of musical theatre in the entire comments.
Yeah. Well, just saying, you must like it.
Just saying, exactly.
We love you, Shane. Yeah, so back to Batman. Come on, let's get focused because I know Shane is not happy about the Batman because I know I remember him saying to me that
if
he's
they
not
make a
excited about
musical
it.
theatre Batman, I'm going to be really upset. Like
I reckon you'd go and see it though because of your love for Batman.
No.
What if it was a musical directed by Tim Burton, featuring Michael Keaton?
But in the form of song.
But in the form of song.
The first, the Tim Burton Batman soundtrack by Prince, all day long. Like, that got me into Prince. That soundtrack got me into Prince, so I thank that forever. So yeah.
What was the main song?
Maybe.
Was there like a main song from that?
Yeah, Party Man, wasn't it? Party Man, Party Man. I'm not singing anymore. That's
no, but that's good. Oh, that song.
That one. Google it, kids. It's
well.
Apparently, they did a musical Batman.
Yeah. Sorry, Shane's going to see it on Friday as well. Not with us. They did a musical Batman, and he said, "Look up the images. It looks terrible." I bet it did.
There's nothing sacred. Exactly. That's it. It's awful.
But the review headlines that I've seen, majority of are all very positive about this, and they think that it's a really good kind of response to the last kind of phase of Batman that we've had. It's kind of brought it back to life again. I saw one that said an even darker night, which I quite like because I think the problem is Dark Knight for me, and again I know some people don't agree, but Dark Knight for me was what set the bar for a lot of superhero movies that we're all now back into because it brought an adult feel to it. It was darker, it was grittier, blah, 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 blah.
Just a great film. Great
all
film.
three of them for me. Again, people will rank them in, obviously the Joker one was that Dark Knight Returns? Was that
the Dark Knight was the Joker. And then
Batman Begins, Dark Knight, yeah, of course.
Dark Knight Returns was Bane.
Yeah. And I love Bane.
That was my Bane impression.
Sorry, do you know you just made me think? Have you ever seen the South Park episode with Bane in it? Yeah. Oh, Mr. UPS man, and it's a delivery man, and they've all got the Bane mask on. It's brilliant. You need to watch that.
I do need to watch that. Oh dear. But anyway, yeah, we're seeing it on Friday. We've booked the tickets. We're going. Mark
IMAX.
Question: is it on IMAX as well? Even better. Mark of Question Mark fame is joining us.
He's coming all the way up from Essex to watch it in little old Norwich.
Exactly. And we do have cinemas in Norfolk. And it's an IMAX one.
And they're inside.
And they're inside, not in a field. And our good friend Corey's joining us as well, who I saw today, and he's very excited. So it's going to be amazing. I can't wait. I can't read anything. I don't want to spoil anything. Even when they've had sort of extra trailer. I think they put a trailer out for, like, wasn't it a scene? There's like a full scene that they put out. Scene, I've not watched that. I don't want to. I just want to see it. You're steering
clear. It's good. Yeah. And again, as we've said many a time, the reviews are, again, someone's qualified opinion. And whether someone likes it or not, I'll be the judge of whether I like it on the day. And I think the only concern that I've got is the length.
Well, don't tell me it's a really long one.
Do you want to know?
I'm going if it's over 3 hours. Yeah.
It's not over 3 hours, but it's just under. Yeah. So bear in mind we're seeing an 8:30 show and we won't be out till midnight.
Good God.
Mother of God.
I don't want to go anymore.
Give your ticket away, mate. No, you're coming. I'll drag you there. Make sure you have make sure you got some Red Bull with you or something to keep you going.
Yeah. 4-pack of Monster.
Yeah, so I mean, but then if it's a good film, I don't think the duration will be.
No, I can't remember what we saw recently. We saw one recently, and it was quite long. I think, and I think we said I can't think what it was. Definitely saw a film recently. It was probably nearly 3 hours. I thought, wow, that didn't seem like that. So you're right. As long as it's good.
Was it Eternals, which you really liked?
No, because I'll never get that time back ever again.
Because that was nearly 3 hours.
And that felt like 8.
That felt like watching the entire works of Lord of the Rings extended edition.
Not as long as June, because that felt like a good couple of days. But hey, but yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm sure we'll love it. And next week, we will be filling a whole episode probably about how great or bad it was.
Why don't we get Mark on next week's show? I'll have a word.
Yeah,
because he'll be with us. I would invite Corey, but I doubt he'll be able to make it.
We can pose the question.
Yeah, to make up for me mucking up the numbers on what episode we're on, we'll get Mark on next week.
A very good point has been raised in the comments, and it's one that's very dear to my heart. And James will verify this, especially as I have a nervous wee before we go live always. That's a big issue. If I'm mental focus, if it's a good film and you've drunk your large Coke that you've got with your large popcorn, it's bad news, isn't it?
It is. The good thing for me is, as you know, Matt, having worked with me for over 10 years,
James doesn't drink.
I'm like a camel, so I wee once or twice a day, maybe at a push, if I must. Ryan's here. The sound, the noise. I mean, I feel like just playing the question mark theme just because Ryan's here, but maybe we could get him on live just to do it live once. That'd
just to really perform it live.
Yeah. With all the instruments that he uses. Ryan's here. He says, I don't really mind long films. People will binge 6-hour-long episodes of some rubbish TV, but then complain about 3 hours and have a complete residue.
But that's the thing. Though. If you're at home,
yeah,
it takes a second to go to the toilet. You don't have to go down the stairs and then round and down the corridor and whatever.
Shane agrees. You can pause it, go for a pee.
Exactly. Yeah. That's it. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I can speak on behalf of my mum and dad, but my mum seems to be the one who tells me she'll tend to binge watch something, like start at about 9 and then won't go to bed till about 2 or 3, just because, when you're watching a series that's that good, you might have had it a little bit at times with Sopranos, but I mean, Line of Duty is one that my mum absolutely loves, and I got her to watch that really after all the series had been released. So she was just binging them, binge. Yeah, that sounds weird when you say that quite a lot. Get a sheepy sorted. What's a sheepy, Ryan?
It's a funnel that women can pee into on the move.
Get out.
Yeah, there you go.
Or just wear
every day's a learning day on this show.
Wear an adult nappy.
I could do, just sit there and do it.
Yeah. So, there was an interview with someone who's off of Afterlife, a female. I can't remember her name. She's a very funny woman. She was on Graham Norton the other day, and she had to film a show, but she was out on a yacht or a boat of some sort. I haven't seen the show. And she said, I have a bladder the size of a walnut, so I always need to pee. And they said to her, they said to all the crew and that, if you need to wee, you need to go now, because once we're out, if we've got to come back, like if someone needs to wee, we haven't got any toilets on there, so we'll all need to go back.
What a nightmare.
So she ordered...
I'd want to wee, just knowing that, I'd want to go.
Yeah. She ordered what she thought was a pack of 12 adult nappies and was sent 500.
500 adult or 500 normal? Sort of
adult. Oh, yeah, little baby ones. Just like staple Gundam into her.
Put 10 together, it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
One thing I've remembered, going completely off topic and away from Batman, but it's still comic book related. I watched a film I hadn't seen for ages. That is a film based on a comic book, which is called The Losers. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Heard of it.
Yeah. It's pretty good. That's all I've got to say about it, really. It's about it's this sort of group of like mercenary types, and it's Chris Evans is in it as of Captain America fame.
Oh, not
Ginger TV presenter. No, it's got the lady who plays Gamora I don't know her actual actress name.
I know you're not.
And oh god, who's the main guy? There's a really famous main actor as well in it. But it's a really good
Dennis
film.
Quaid.
No, when Dennis Quaid, that'd be really
Kiefer
cool.
Sutherland.
No, it's not anyone like that.
You said it was a really famous actor.
He's a famous actor.
Al Pacino?
No, that would be really cool if it was Al Pacino. Let me just bring it up on IMDb and then we'll get it out of the way, won't we? And I'll be able to tell you. But I think it was one that was sort of slated a bit when it came out. But I think it's, again, like we were saying, it's all down to a reviewer, whatever they think of that. It's a perfectly enjoyable film.
Is it Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
It is Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Yeah.
What a mad guess that I had there.
You've just looked that up, that's why.
I haven't.
Idris Elba's in it as well. He's part of the crew. So yeah, it's good. It's got a pretty good cast. Jason Patrick is the bad guy. He's a bit off, but if you ever remember who Jason Patrick was, he was the big brother in Lost Boys. But you've only seen that one, so you probably can't remember him. He's the one who turns into a vampire. He was also in Speed 2, which obviously wasn't.
I've never watched Speed 2.
Good. No, it's still the first one.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
Sequel gone wrong. Cheers, Shane, for the heads up. Well, there you go. What's that on? Sorry.
I watched it on Amazon Prime. It's on Amazon Prime at the moment, so check it out. Yeah, it's a good film.
Have you watched The Boys on there? Is it The Boys?
No, I haven't. That's one that's been on my radar, and I thought, I quite fancy that, but I've just never got round to.
You watched The Losers instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Been 6 hours of it.
Hour and 40 minutes, done. That's what
it's a film.
A film, isn't it? Yeah, it's a film.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was a series.
No, it's a film. So yeah, hour and 40 minutes. You know what you're getting. Sorted.
Nice.
That's
it. Just to touch Batman again. If only. What are you? I know you're excited about the film. Is there a particular character other than Batman that you're most looking forward to seeing what they're all about?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Robert Pattinson's done with it, because there's a lot of doubt about it, but I think from the trailers alone, it looks pretty good. The Riddler looks like a really interesting character.
Paul Dano, yeah.
Yeah, in the little clips you've seen of him. The Penguin, though, is probably the one I'm least looking forward to.
Is that because you don't like Colin?
I love Colin Farrell. I think he's a brilliant actor. I don't know.
Doesn't look like him, though, does it?
It doesn't exactly. I think maybe that's it. It doesn't look like him, so I don't really know what to make of it. But we will see with it. But
don't you have some news about the Penguin?
I was just clicking over to that actually. Yeah, so I'd completely forgot. There's me talking about rubbish old films and stuff like that. So yeah, they're gonna. Matt Reeves, the director, shared a little some bits during the premiere. He really believes in what they're doing with the Batman film and wants to take it further. So they're doing a show, or they're doing lots of things on HBO, and they're going to do a Penguin show with Colin Farrell. So clearly they're quite invested in what he's done with the character. But I think they're going to expand it to lots of different sort of stories within that universe on streaming platforms too. Which I find is quite interesting. Like the film's only just come out and you're already thinking bigger. I guess that's the way to do it, isn't it? But it seems like quite a lot of confidence in that thing.
I mean, it also. I mean, you think about Marvel, how far ahead they plan. I mean, that's
it's true.
That's mega
decades, isn't it?
And I guess while it's hot, you've got to stay on it and keep the momentum going. Like we've mentioned about Beetle Juice, you've waited God knows how many years to do more on that.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So there's some chat going on about an indie superhero film. Sorry, Ryan wants to know what's the indie superhero film with Kevin Bacon and Elliot Page in.
I don't know. I'd watch that with Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
What was this?
And Ryan says, "Shut Up, Crime." Is that what it's called? Get that on the Google, Matt. Dawn says, Dawn says, hello, Dawn, lovely old Dawn. Shane from Dawn the Comic says, was Kevin Bacon in that? Ryan says, I feel like I'm just narrating what people are commenting. Ryan says, I hope so. He does say, I hope before a bit.
Was it called Super? Because I found it must be a film called Super.
Super.
Which has Elliot Page, as someone's mentioned, has Liv Tyler in it, Kevin Bacon.
Liv Tyler. It does have Kevin Bacon. Go,
it does
Ryan.
have Kevin Bacon in it, so it must be. I've never heard of that film at all.
Yeah, Ryan's just said super.
And Rainn Wilson, who's is he from The Office?
Rainn Wilson, yeah, he's from The Office. I love Rainn. Yeah. He's Dwight.
Yeah, 2010 that came out apparently, so that's one to look up, isn't it?
Blimey. Well, Ryan, going back, said, once someone reminds me, can we just agree it's the greatest hero film? Having never seen it, I couldn't either confirm or deny.
Well, we'll have to trust you with this, but we'll try and watch it and then then see.
Trust in Ryan. That's a big statement as well. There's a story behind that, but we won't go into it now. We'll wait for Mark to be on. Let's move on. As you said, we've got Batman to talk about next week, mega loads.
Yeah.
And if anyone is going to see it, join us next week. And get involved, get your comments in. But it does move us nightly while we're talking about superheroes, and Ryan's talking about superheroes. Everyone's talking about superheroes. Next up, news that I only read today. I'm really excited about it because I might actually rewatch a lot of these. And I know you haven't watched all of them.
I dipped in and out of a lot of these.
I would recommend it more than anything. All of the Marvel series that were on Netflix. So kicking off with Daredevil, you had Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist. I mean, maybe skip that one. Don't worry about that.
That's meant to be a bit dodgy, wasn't it?
The Defenders, which was all right. I thought was all right. And then you've got Punisher as well, which I still haven't actually watched all of the Punisher series. So, I need to do that. Cast amazing on all of them. They will all they're no longer on Netflix. And it's been agreed that they will be going over to Disney as they are doing more adult content now, including the Tommy and Pammy one. Or is it called Pammy and Tommy? I don't know.
Pam and Tommy.
That way, yeah. That. I mean, I haven't watched that yet. Have you watched any of that?
I haven't. I was quite excited about watching it, and then I sort of just, I don't know, I've just not got around to doing it. But I think it's a very interesting story. Apparently, a lot of it is. I don't know if you read that. A lot of it is Tommy Lee talking to his penis. And Sebastian Stan, isn't it? That's his name. He had a prosthetic penis made.
The Winter
Soldier. To talk to. The Winter Soldier had a prosthetic penis to talk to, and Pam and Tommy. Yeah,
there's a headline.
Heard it here first.
But yeah, going back to the thing, because of Star that they've obviously got on there, the section on Disney Plus, and with some of the shows that they've got on there, I think they've decided that now they can have that on there, and you've got all the new parental controls that they added on after the last update. So exciting times. I think it's the 16th of March, so not long, only a couple of weeks.
I would like to watch, definitely. You know, you said about Daredevil, and you said to me a lot. I watched. I think I must watch about 4 or 5 episodes of that. I watched up to the point where Kingpin came into it.
Yeah,
I think at the very end,
he's brilliant in that, and that's the level that you will love. I think the violence of it is pretty extreme.
I also watched. I think I watched 2 or 3 of Luke Cage as well, which again was really, really good. So, I need to sit down. That's one that I would probably be excited about, actually, those, because I heard very good things about them. So, yeah.
Yeah, so awesome. Keep an eye out for that. Just a quick bit of news there. And the finale, well, while we're staying on Marvel, you've got some interesting stuff to tell us about Too Much SpiderMan.
Too Much SpiderMan. And I think that too Much SpiderMan, from my point of view, just from the new Spider-Man film, we're divided somewhat on it. You loved it. I thought it was a solid 7 out of 10 at the best, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just one of those things.
But it's opinions.
It's just opinions. No one's right or wrong. However, they are bringing out the Blu-rays of it, which is quite soon. I mean, it's still at the cinema, isn't it? And when I first heard this news, I did groan a bit because I read...
It's Matt's rant time.
It's not going to be a rant, but I did think when I read the headline of new extended, like, Spider-Man, 80 minutes of extra content, I thought, oh, come on, they're not going to bring it out in the cinema again. Because I can't remember what film did that. There was a film not that long ago that they brought it out again at the cinema and added extra bits to. And I can't remember what it was, so you could go and see it again. Right. I don't think I'm making that up. I might be completely making it up. But yeah, I thought... No, there wasn't there one where... Was it one of the Avengers films where they were the top... Like, it turned out they were close to beating Avatar as the top grossing film. So they re-released it and added stuff to it just to justify a re-release so people would go and see it. I'm sure I'm not making this up. I'm sure this happened. But, however, it doesn't spoil the story. Fortunately, they're not re-releasing it. They're adding it to the Blu-ray and adding it to streaming platforms. And in total, it's 80 minutes extra content, which to me seems like a lot of stuff.
80, yeah,
of extra content. 20 minutes of that is reportedly of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. So, wow. I can only assume it's behind the scenes stuff rather than actually... Go on.
No, I was going to say there's been a few little clips that have been dropped on YouTube that I've seen, and it's kind of... But it's, there's one with the three of them doing the famous pointing at each other thing, which you must have seen stills of that across social media or whatever. Off the famous comic. But yeah, I mean, the film was long, like we said earlier. That was a long film. So to add another, I mean,
it's not been confirmed whether they're adding, like, whether there's an extended cut of the film as such. It's just all they've said is, we're giving you this extra stuff, so you don't necessarily know where it fits in.
Are you a fan of the behind the scenes stuff?
I've watched some, and but I don't go out of my way to do it. I think Blade Runner. I love Blade Runner, so I think the extras of that were about. There's like a 3-hour documentary on one of the DVDs and that I sat through, and I loved when I was little. I loved. The like making of Star Wars and stuff like that. And they did on the original VHSs. I think they did you saw how they did the speeder bikes in Return of the Jedi in the forest and stuff like that. Those special effects things I find really cool. Seeing how they did the special effects, but not for the sake of it, if you know what I mean. I don't really want to watch the actors messing around backstage. I'd rather learn about what they're doing as such. So
I did when I started going through, and I've stalled on this big style, but started going through all the Marvel stuff again. One of the nice touches with Disney on Disney Plus is that you do get all the additional features or extras or whatever. So when you're on a film menu, you can go to extras, and there's all the the problem is they did go on, like the first few, like the Iron Man one, and the first few films, they were kind of a few little bits here and there. But the further you get into the catalogue of films, it starts getting really long, and you're just like, God, it's like sitting through. Like by the time we've talked about before, you weigh up whether you're going to watch a film or not by what time it is, and if the kids are in bed. So once I've got to like 11 o'clock, if that's what time the film's coming to an end, I don't really want to sit for another hour and a half or however long it is of watching extras of the film that I've just watched. As interesting as they are, because what I liked in a lot of them was how they referenced, the making of the film with regards to writing it and what comics they used to get their material from or pluck storylines from and all that. So there was certainly some interesting things, but it just felt like it went on a lot.
The one I thoroughly enjoyed was on Luca, the Pixar film. The making of that is awesome because it's the director talking about how it's the village in which the film is based on where he grew up as a child. And you see the artist getting their inspiration from the different bits, and you see them looking at the actual buildings that are featured in the animation. So you see the real life
so you see
buildings
and then the
stuff.
reflection of it. Yeah.
Stuff like that I just find fascinating because you can. He's like he's literally looking behind the scenes, like how they work these things out and how they did certain stuff, and that I think is great. Definitely holds a lot of value.
And our good friend Pietro Schito, he actually had one of the producers or writers from that, or one of the artists maybe, on his channel to go through how the creation of it. So
that's it.
Great film as well, fantastic film.
Yeah.
So it's not just too much Spider-Man with extra footage, is it?
No, it's not. It's too much Spider-Man in regards to Tom Holland, which is often very good at coming out with these things in interviews. Usually sort of spoiling, like, letting stuff slip or whatever. But he was on Late Night with Seth Meyers, which I'd never heard of. Some American show, and there's loads of those
Seth
late
Meyers,
night
have you
things.
not seen Seth Meyers? He's brilliant.
No, I haven't.
Nah.
Rubbish.
He's funny. He's good.
Anyway, I'll look him up. Tom Holland said that on the set, he discovered that one of the actors, which clearly isn't him, is one of the other two Spider-Men, had a fake bum as part of their costume. So, yeah.
How weird, but why?
Yeah,
do they need that?
Well, exactly. And that's the question, isn't it? Why would it must be just purely for aesthetics? And I do that very much, for
the viewers.
It weren't big enough. I don't know. It needed a bit more definition, but one of them had a bum.
Shane's money is on Andrew Garfield.
Well, that's it. I was trying to work this out in my head, and you're thinking Andrew Garfield is quite a skinny guy, so maybe he's not really got a bum, so he needed a bit of help to get that lift. You don't know.
Do you know? Go on.
No,
go on. You're still talking about butts. Go on.
The money apparently online is on Tobey Maguire.
Interesting. Well, controversial.
Because weirdly, it stems from where is it? I've got the information somewhere, but I'm probably not going to find it because I'm looking for it while I'm trying to do a podcast. Apparently, there was a scandal when Tom Cruise was in a film called Valkyrie, which I'd never heard of. It was rumored that he had a prosthetic bum in that, which he denied. He said it weren't the case. Yeah. But around that time that was going on, people commented that in 2002 Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire had a fake bum as well. Wow. So from that, people are assuming that it was Tobey that had it. So who knows?
Interesting. Yeah. We'll have to do a bit of digging on that and watch all of Tobey Maguire's catalogue.
Bums. Yeah, exactly.
No, just his back catalogue. His back catalogue.
His back catalogue, literally. Yeah, that's it.
I was going to say what's been nice recently is I've seen a lot of interviews, and there was again Andrew Garfield was on Graham Norton, and he was talking about that. And have you heard the story about how they snuck into him and Tobey Maguire snuck into a cinema in America on the release night and watched the film because they had COVID masks on and everything. No one knew it was them two. Yeah. And just kind of like some of the secretive stuff there to do. Andrew said that he and Charlie Cox, who plays Daredevil or whatever his actual name is, Matthew something. I
know what you mean.
They're really good friends. Obviously, both Brits. There's quite a few British people who all were in the same kind of when they came through at the same time, if you know what I mean. So they'd all gone through acting school and all that around the same sort of era. And them two are really good friends. And Charlie Cox has done an interview, and Andrew's done an interview to say, Charlie was ringing him up, going, "I know you're doing the same movie as me, aren't you?
Yeah.
But Andrew couldn't say because he didn't know that Charlie Cox was in it as well. But then eventually they kind of cottoned on and they said, "Oh, why don't we go out for dinner or that?" And they went, "Oh, we can't go out for dinner together because if people see us out in America together, like around where they were filming it and everything, they'll put two and two together." So they ended up booking a restaurant under some fake names and went and sat at a table where they were facing a wall, just so no one knew it was them. Mad, yeah, mad. Yeah, so great film. You hate it, but
I don't hate it. I just think it's average. That's the
overrated.
Overrated, very much. And do you reckon it's the? I was thinking about this the other day. Do you reckon it's like the curse? Because with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, the third one was a stinker, wasn't it?
I don't.
And that was hyped beyond belief, and it was a bit of a stinker. And then sort of this third one, obviously, this film has been a box office success, and people are praising it and whatever. It's only me that hates it. But yeah,
you're not the only one. I do know someone else.
That's good.
Oh, good. I'll hook you up.
There's two people that are right. Then
at
that's
least. That are right. Wow. Controversial, but anyway, yeah. Too much Spider-Man. Too much. Let's
give it a rest now. Well, yeah. Well, that brings us to our end. Not Tobey Maguire's, and yeah.
No, he's not dead.
He's not dead. No.
Yeah. Well, as we always end the show on this note, we can tell you that down the bottom you've seen all throughout, and most of you already know anyway where we are. But if you didn't, you can follow us on all the social medias. Just search This Week in Metropolis, and you'll find us there. Hit that follow button and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, where if you are watching, you're probably watching us now. You could be watching us on Facebook because we're live on there as well. What are the chances?
Mix it up.
Yeah, mix it up. And as Matt said, you've got all the back catalogue on YouTube and all the different podcasting platforms. But for now, in this week of excitement that is the Batman release, that was a little.
Shouldn't it be the Batman release?
No. I've been doing this every time I'm on FaceTime to my mum and dad this week. I've said to them, "Oh, we're going to see the Batman." And then I freeze for a bit. And they keep thinking I'm looking at someone, but I'm not. Anyway, that's a side joke there that I've let you all into a little bit of my life there. Simple things for me. Anyway, thanks again to everyone who's joined us. We'll be back next week, hopefully with Mark, maybe with Corey. Who knows?
Imagine 4 people.
Blowing my mind just thinking about it. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the film if you're going, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as we did. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our future episodes.
Yeah, and you can also follow us on all social media, so you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok.